7. We have 7. That's not a quorum. We have a simple majority.
You have Nancy.
Yeah.
She has.
Grace.
Oh, that's right.
We have 14 people. I've been waiting to hear from Ed and Riley because they said they were coming, so.
Well, we're gonna go with what we have for the moment. We'll be voting towards the end of the meeting. So I put the agenda together. Does anybody have any ads or anything that we need to talk about? I got the season stuff. I got Edward's rental agreement thing. I got Kathy on here to talk about the proposal.
Did you get mine about Brittany's 2 proposals?
Yes, in the back.
Okay.
So I guess we will go with the flow. Do we have a treasury report of any kind, Mr. King?
I do have a statement. Are really well organized here.
Are we approving past minutes?
We don't have to.
I approve.
I just have it on
There
there.
we go.
They're available here if someone wants to look them over.
Actually, do you have to approve minutes and vote on it? I don't think you do.
I know we always have. I don't
We can't.
really know if it's an absolute necessity, to be honest.
According to Robert's rules, it doesn't really say if you have to approve or not approve.
Yeah.
We have a quorum now.
Yay.
All right.
Okay, get all the voting done. Okay, well, if we have to approve minutes, Lynn for the motion.
Okay.
Ashley second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, nays?
Paperwork
So
in
back to
here.
treasury.
Okay.
Of course, anyway, out the door, my keys flew out of my hand into the snow, and I was like,
Basically,
it's like
our balances are pretty much what they were last month. Pretty much the same. 48, less than 876 in the checking. Everything else is the same. 48, 876.
Okay, is that it? Okay.
Yep.
Okay,
We're financially pretty strong. So.
all right. So organizational committee reports, Mr. Ed, you want to talk about the new rental agreement? Or Lynn said that you might want to?
yeah.
Hey, don't throw me under the bus.
I did print it. I did print it if anybody wants to look at it, because I think we need to vote on it, didn't we?
We were going to present it.
So there is printouts down there if y'all don't have them.
Send it out to the board. I always send it out to the committee. Did you get a copy?
Yeah. Right here.
So basically, there was a finance committee held.
Did you want to?
Oh.
You have it handy?
And
We made a couple of changes to the what we've currently been using. A lot of it's just language stuff to make sure that everything is clear when people read and sign it. A couple things that we did add was that if there's a statement in there that a representative has to be on the premises at all times when we're renting out any of the space, whether they have questions or just to make sure that we are protected, that nothing's being abused, things like that. And that if there any alterations to the space have to be pre-approved by an executive board member or at the discretion of the director, of course, if we have the show going on at the time.
did we decide if it needed to be looked at by an attorney or anything? Or?
We had discussed possibly having it looked at by an attorney just to make sure that there's no
I think we
loopholes
kind
or.
of came to the decision that we would start with this, and then once we had all of the papers that we wanted to put together, the electronics rental and the items rental and things like that, that at that point, we would try to approach somebody to make sure there wasn't something that was missing.
This is one of the main agreements that we tackled. We had discussed a few others, such as agreeing to rent out electronics, props, costumes, things like that, just to make sure that we're keeping track of stuff, because obviously in the past, stuff has gone missing, stuff has been lent out, borrowed without anybody knowing. So we want to make sure that we keep track of that stuff. So, you know, if something does go missing, we can have a paper trail to follow. So, but this was the main focus. Obviously, more to come in the future.
And once we do get these established, it's going to mean everybody, including me, my family, other board members, a director that comes in, central campus, everybody will need to fill out some kind of form. Whether they will have any deposits waived will be up to the executive board, but everybody needs to, nobody can go downstairs, take a costume and walk off with it anymore because they have a party to go to. Need to fill out a piece of paper. And that's, like I said, across the board.
Perfect. So,
Any comments, I guess, or questions, or open up the discussion?
I think until we get all the package, then everybody look at it one more time and we'll just approve and go forward.
Obviously, if you go home and you have the paper with you and you go, oh, you know, this might be good to have in here.
Always.
You can email any of the committee and we'll take it to the rest of the committee and we'll see if there's anything that needs to be upgraded.
Always open to suggestion or guess at any of the committees. So.
And my apologies, we skipped over the acceptance and approval of the past minutes. Has everybody had a chance to
I thought we
read
did
them?
that.
I know we said the agenda.
Yeah, you did that.
Oh, I thought it was the
I wrote down-
minutes.
yeah,
I thought it was the minutes that I was doing.
No, it was the agenda.
Oh, okay, minutes then.
Yeah, you two were just doing it. There we go.
Minutes.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to sleep now.
We'll just run over you anyway.
Please do. I'm okay with that. Okay, box office. Ken, anything, ticket sales or anything?
We're at 103 tickets sold for the upcoming show, which is pretty good. I did make an inquiry about the possibility of allowing unpaid reservations done online. It is possible. It does work. I want to play around with it a little bit and make sure that I'm satisfied with how it works, but I do not want to implement it this season. So it just adds one more thing. I mean, I want to consider it, and we can decide whether or not it's worthwhile.
I'd like to consider it because I know I see the fees that are charged for the credit cards and the debit cards. And if we can find some way to encourage, I'll say encourage our patrons, but not necessarily encourage, but so that they know that they could pay with a check or cash at the door after making the reservation, then we don't have to pay that fee.
The credit card fee, yeah.
It's not a major thing that's saved, but it is a bit of a saving.
3.5%.
But we've had people that wanted to pay the check.
Right.
At the box
And
office.
it is an option that works, and they express the concerns that the thoughts that the representative had were pretty much what we talked about as far as you run the risk of people making reservations and not showing up. Well, we do that anyway. And if a show is sold out, yes, that can be a problem. If the show's not sold out, it's kind of moot.
But I think the way we've been doing it with the little will call list that we have and waiting, I think we kind of compensate for that
We do,
difference.
but we have people who Right, and there's one party in particular, she calls every single time, always makes 5 reservations, and always comes and pays with a check. Usually for all 5 of them, but sometimes not, but
Yeah, I think there just has to be things we set up, like you have to be there and not just
And-
5 minutes, you know. You
yeah,
have
and
to
I
be
think
there
we
at a
need to
good
set a cutoff like
time.
20 minutes, 15,
Yep.
20 minutes before showtime.
The only thing that I would recommend, Kim, on the box office site on the website is can we put a disclaimer on there so we're not liable? So let's literally say, by the way, if we are sold out show, we reserve the right to
Right.
release.
We don't
seats
even
at
have to
some
say if it's
time.
sold out. All you need to say is you
Right.
reserve the right to resell any, or to
Unclaimed reservations,
unclaimed reservations.
reservations unclaimed
Will be
as-
released.
20 minutes to showtime.
Or-
May, 15, 20 minutes, whatever we decide, may be released at
I
our
wouldn't say
discretion.
20 because people don't even bother coming in until 10 minutes
Well,
after 7, but
it might get us,
you know.
get them here early.
I would
but
say
15.
at least 15 or 10
10, 10, 15.
to
Summer
give us
theater
time.
does 15.
To give us
And
time
that
to process.
probably-
And people are used to that.
Yep,
Yeah.
people are really used to that.
Okay.
You have 15 minutes before showtime to get there.
Because if the disclaimer's on there, it's in their face. And
Right.
the other,
Professional places I've worked in box offices are the same way, 15 minutes.
the other thing I wanted to put out there for the box office and ticketing was parking. Is there a way that we can put like a map for parking? Because I talked to Virginia Larson today about
Mhm.
our parking. And nobody's parking back there. And a lot of it's, when I probe people coming in, they're like, I couldn't find parking.
Mhm.
And the whole lot was empty. So just maybe can we put like a small map of some sort on the ticket or on the website? Because we have the parking unlimited now.
We could put a graphic
Nancy
on
got
there
a
somewhere.
ticket the other day for parking back there. That was during the day.
Oh, now during the day is
Yeah.
different. This is always showtime.
Yeah. But she was here
Um,
cleaning and she got a ticket.
Well, she gives me that ticket when she goes to Virginia.
She said it wasn't going to be a major.
It's $10. So.
I can certainly put a note on the website, on the ticketing website, that parking is available
Parking
on the
is
east side of
allowed.
the building.
I would
Or
just,
behind the building. Say behind the building.
Yeah, well,
I never know what east side, west side, south side in this building is.
because when Virginia and I talked today, she's like, well, I don't always get the sign moved and we don't have those placards.
mhm,
I said, well, at least if we tell people, they'll know.
okay. I will put that on there. That's easy.
Okay, is that it for box office?
That's basically it. I've been doing some analysis of what ticket purchasing patterns as to when people are purchasing tickets. It's not quite ready for prime time yet.
All right, past and upcoming show reports.
it's a little slick up there.
So I just wanted to add here for Cuckoo Kangaroo. It looked to me like to be a huge success, and I do want to say thank you for the Knickerbocker family because I saw.
And
everyone
Ed.
there. Okay, and I already thought he was part of the Knickerbocker family.
He may be part of the grade 8, but he's not there yet. Okay.
Well, when you do,
Yes, he was here to open the doors and let them in and sit while they were sitting.
because it was huge. I've never seen so many kids in one spot in my entire life. But I thought it was fantastic, and I heard everybody said, please do more. So if y'all want to, go ahead.
If we get the contact, I'll tell them we'll find a
I
way.
haven't done anything with them.
So the next one, the musical comedy murders, I just put on here, is there anything needed from the board for showtime and or set construction and blah, blah, blah?
Well, I could either have Brittany do it or I can do this part. First of all, we do have posters, and anybody who would like to take 1, 2, 4, 10, whatever, we got a stack of them. Please do send them out wherever you can,
I need a few more.
because the more advertising we have, the more
I'll take
people
5.
we reach. And if we run out of this stack, I can get more. Brittany is making a request, proposal to purchase wireless headsets. In the past, when the stage managers and the director and the light booth had to talk with each other, they've either borrowed them from MCC or MSU or something like that. For a while, we used a pair of walkie-talkies that I happen to have, but one of the two disappeared after one of those times. And she said, I'd like to propose that MRP purchase a set of wireless headset walkie-talkies to facilitate communication between the director, light booth, and stage manager of a production. Communication between these three individuals is paramount in running a professional level show and will be made easier by the acquisition of the headsets. I would like to have the units purchased before the upcoming production of Music Comedy Murders due to the complex nature of the show. In order to have the various secret passages open and close at the appropriate times, an individual in the light booth will have to call cues to the stage manager who is backstage. The headsets will expedite the communication process and allow for continuous movement in the show. I've researched headband-style headsets and quality walkie-talkie units and found the following information. Compatible headsets are only available via Amazon that she can find. The ones that she can find elsewhere are earbud ones, earwig ones. She objects to them because if you're gonna have multiple people wearing them at multiple times, yeah, kind of gross.
That's a little gross.
And number two, to me, is the fact that what they amount to is an earbud wire thing, and those get damaged so easily, and then you have to buy more. Go with the headsets, they won't get lost as easily. She checked Best Buy, Walmart, and Shields, and the best bet was Amazon. A set of 2 headsets.
I'm sorry, but that was just so cute. She checked Best Buy, Walmart, and Shield, and the best bet was Amazon.
That is true.
It just came out funny. Sorry.
The 2 headsets were $27.99, Midland, and there's information, 22 channel, 2-way radio, headset. And 2 walkie-talkies with rechargeable bases for $39.99, no shipping, total before taxes $67.98. So
Two
Make a
sufficient?
motion that we purchase the
Right away, let's
Yep.
do this.
Is 2 sufficient?
I
I
say
think
we do
You
2.
mean
I think 2 is sufficient for now for a start.
to see if how well they work.
Here's the problem. In the future, they don't always match up.
Most of them
True.
do now that they do multi-channels. As long as you're all on the same channel, they should be compatible.
Well, I make a motion, we get 4.
Okay, we already have a motion on the table. Do we have any discussion outside of what we just discussed?
4 of
Okay.
each.
It would wind up being
Four, yeah.
well, it would be 4 headsets and 4 walkie-talkies then,
So we're looking at a cost of about
$130
$140.
plus taxes.
Less than I expected.
Okay, so we have any seconds?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposes? Awesome. We're
Okay.
buying.
That would be great.
Are
they measured?
No more discussion.
Does she
It's a
just want to go ahead
Is
and
she
order
gonna
them?
make
It's
a
an
purchase
actual
or shall I
headset.
make it?
Did
Does
she
it have
just
a
want
card
to
on
take a
it?
credit card and just make the purchase, or did she want Ken to do it?
She can probably do it, she's got all the information already.
Okay.
You want her to just do the
That's
credit card?
Yep.
Anyway, here's
I
the
don't think that's
information on it.
Can I keep it?
Yes.
Well, I can keep it after if there's anyone to take it.
Oh, okay, if anybody did want it.
I just want, so.
I'm surprised we haven't had them before this.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on from the show, current show? I know she has a
Oh,
couple other
okay.
things, but I'll put that on business.
Yeah, it's going. It's going well. We have a really neat poster that we have already out. I've sent a copy of the poster, digital copy to NACA, so they have that for their use. I hope it got to them.
Thank you.
There will need to be purchases made for props because there are some specific props that we just don't have available to us. But we're still trying to keep that as limited as possible. The set is going to be an expensive one because there's multiple bookcases that need to move. One revolves, one flips, and one slides. It's a lot of work. We also had to create a baby grand piano, so that's cool. The actors are doing well. Everybody's very positive about what's going on, at least as far as I've been able to determine. We will be looking for people for ushering and that kind of thing. Randall, are you going to be willing to coordinate
I'll
as you
send
usually
out
do?
those.
Okay. I think Ashley had mentioned
First
already she
weekend, I
had
can
some
be
time.
here every day.
Concessions already taken care of, because she said we could have liquor.
Yep.
It's already done.
The only thing she didn't want was the meat and cheese tray. Yeah, that's all I can think of right offhand.
Thank you, Lou and Brittany. The Unspeakable Triumph, the auditions, anything needed from us? I don't know who's in charge of it, you? Okay.
Auditions are set for March 1st and 2nd. There's already Facebook events up. That's about all I have right now for the auditions.
I have been emailing back and forth with the author. And he will be up for doing a Skype session with the cast once we get further along, so we can use it for promotion.
Do you want to send what you wrote was very clever, on your Facebook for your auditions, to send it to him to use in the newsletter that goes out in February?
That's something clever.
Yeah.
She just said something.
So there you go.
When I shared the event,
Well, you had something kind of written up about your show, what it was, and then your dates and so on. And that should be your headliner for the February newsletter.
Okay.
So just pass it on to him.
By the way.
Because we're not putting out a spotlight,
I don't write
the
that
next spotlight. Well, we'll get to that, never mind.
For the
huge.
new shows.
Yep. I have that in the binder.
Okay. That all from your side?
At the moment, I mean, I'm gonna need some tech people yet. I need sound designer, light
You
designer.
said
This is the
Well,
today.
down the road.
This is 14.
I mean,
Yeah.
I still have like another month until we start
Here's
Yes,
too
that's
big a
fast.
show for the fall.
All right. Sorry.
Isn't that?
House, any house?
Nancy said she didn't have anything in particular. The only thing I know of is Tim sealed off the vent that was expelling air out into the work area behind the stage. And by doing so, we now have heat in the green room.
Hey,
And it also is going downstairs. Not significantly, because we don't have any fans that are really pumping the air through. But when you go down there, you're not hit by a wall of ice cubes. You can actually exist down there without your breath showing for at least 10 minutes.
Oh, gosh.
So,
They're no big deal.
yeah. So, just that one section being sealed off made a significant difference. That's the only thing that I know of. I am going to confirm, I believe it is Margie's Art Glass, Margie's husband, who comes by with a little cat tractor and does a path around our block here because he likes to walk his dog. And that's why he does it. He does it gratis and happily and things like that. I'm going to confirm that it is him that's been helping us out like that. And I'm going to get him a couple of comp tickets for the next show and maybe even for your show as a thank you for just being a gracious
Good neighbor. Yeah.
person who is helping out the downtown.
Is he going to do the alleyway before the show, or I guess we'll
No.
wait and see if we need
Well,
it?
he doesn't do the alleyway anyway, but we can't use the alley anyway.
Well, They will, because they're gonna be moving some stuff, but if the snow stops, it may never stop.
Well, but they're still gonna be using, they're gonna have that, they're gonna
They're
have
still
a
doing that
lot of
construction
stuff
on the
there with
building.
the
Yeah,
construction,
but
so.
they can still.
But they can walk.
It's
There's-
passable on foot.
I told
It's
them to
passable
leave
on
it
foot,
path,
yeah.
not to drive.
We probably need to get out there sometime soon and at least clear an access area from the barn doors and out to the back parking lot, simply because that is a fire exit.
What I was gonna say is if he's willing to, maybe we talk to him about a possible, just a little stipend of some sort. Unless he
I
wants
can-
tickets. and
I
that's
can
fine.
find out, but, you know, I just happened to find out on the fly that he's the one who's been doing this.
I noticed when I came in the front tonight, I had to go down to where the apartment entrance is and come around. So if
Well,
we
the
can
city-
get anybody to.
The city supposedly
Put a
moving,
passage right up front, so people.
the city is
People have been
supposed to move
parking
the
there now.
berm next week.
Okay.
So the city is responsible for the berms. And I talk to Margie on a weekly basis. I'm on the
Yeah.
downtown board.
Okay,
So I can
Just-
ask her
just-
to-
kind of confirm, because I'd like to do something nice for him, because he's been doing something nice for us.
All right, nothing on concessions outside of we're ready for the next show. Social media. Brittany? Brittany?
She's downstairs, like forever.
Oh, it's
Oh.
fine, we'll come back.
Just to find out if there's anything new.
I got no kids program stuff you said until after February.
Holly,
Yeah.
you still haven't sent me Sarah's email.
Well, alls I've got for her is her number. I don't
Okay.
have
You
her
don't have
email.
an email. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I've been waiting for.
I know, I'm sorry.
That's
I
okay.
should have told you, alls I've got is her phone number for texting purposes. I don't know, I guess we must have used
Sarah Bloom?
Bloom.
That's how.
We must have used the message thing when we did, well, you could catch her through that orphan train.
I don't think she uses Facebook very much either.
No,
because
you're
I've
right.
tried her
I
on
have her
Facebook.
email.
She may be, do you?
Okay.
So have we ever reached out, as part of the kids thing, have we ever reached out to
I will
recently like
apologize. when I
Mask
send
or
you
any of
that.
those
Well, we
guys?
haven't really, because we haven't decided as a small group yet, what, if they're doing all the classes and doing all this and that, what can we do other than maybe provide stage time, you know, in our season, or we maybe could have a small
I'll do it.
session, in which case we put out a small show. You know, but that's kind of where we've been, you know, it isn't for this year, it's maybe for next year.
Am I correct in thinking that Mass, they do not have an indoor space?
Yes, they
correct?
do.
They do.
Yeah,
They
they
do.
do.
Jump in the wall.
Okay.
It's a nice.
Are they, for their children's stuff, do they do things for teens or just?
It goes through 8th grade,
Thing is,
Great, great.
yeah, which is technically what our program always was, the mini Mosters and up was 2nd grade through 8th. You know, so, you know, that's kind of been our standard, you know, if there's been a specific, you know, classing, at the time, we did a younger group and an older group, or an advanced and a beginners, or I don't know, you know, but it's been a while now because, you know, basically, they've been doing the classes, so, you know, as long as we're kind of clear on what we want to do for supplement or if we just want to make sure that
And I
we
think,
have one
but I
show.
think that's what the committee should be
Be
part of, is
right.
coming up with a plan of where we can go with it.
because we might just be able to sponsor some of their stuff too.
Well, no,
They are for profit,
yeah, it's not the same, you know, I
the
mean,
same level.
so, yeah, we just have to meet and decide. How do we want to handle it, you know, and who wants to come?
Yeah, do we want
Yes, I know
classes?
you
Do we want it during the year? Do we want it something for the summer, like a summer camp type of thing?
Right.
Or, Is it going to be with a focus for a show? Is it going to just be mostly the classes and then a personal show? Those are all things that just need to be discussed.
Well, right,
So I
we
guess-
just need to talk about it, and we also, you know, I mean,
So I guess instead of taking up time here.
yeah, we'll
do
just
you
hand,
Do you have a committee already?
well,
together?
more or less. Anybody who wants to come though, Eileen, if you wanna join us, or anybody else. But I know that Heather was going, Sarah's
Soon as the show's
interest.
over, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that's what we have to wait
Yeah.
to do. Or we can, you know, and I know Brittany's interested in, you know, has background, and, you know, Paula Simonson's another good one for, you know, ideas and just, you know, kicking around a different way of thinking about it, you know, because there's also the issue of cost. You know, mask is for profit, so they charge per, you know, okay, and that's fine, you know, so then maybe our niche needs to be, you know, ours was always, we put a value of like $50 for it, and that was only to make it accountable, you know.
I think the difference is like mask charges per either semester. I know they were doing semesters for a while.
Well,
And now I
class.
think they may be doing per class, so that they can actually pay their
The
teachers and
instructors,
things
yeah,
like that.
yeah,
It's a lot of 6-week classes or even 2-day classes, like on a Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
or a workshop.
So
Whereas what MRP was more, like a 5 to a 6 day class of things, of activities going on for a set fee for the whole thing of a very low, a much lower fee.
yeah, well, yeah,
And
So-
for what it's worth, the few people that I still am in contact that have younger children, one of the questions that was given to me was, is Mouse River Players going to do something with kids, because I can't afford to do a
Right.
mask.
right,
So like, I guess the other reason I asked the question is because at the Cuckoo Kangaroo, I was again probing people,
mm-hmm.
and
In public?
That's a no. Keep your pinkies to yourself.
is that video?
Is that-
Yes. And the recording.
You are never going to be able to run for office. You know that.
This might be the presidency.
Oh, well, but
Um,
anyway,
So the reason I asked, because there was several parents at that show that asked me, is this part of our kids program? And I told them no. And then they're like, well, maybe it should be. And I'm like, oh, well, don't get me started in any conversations, but maybe that's a thought pattern too. Is
right, yeah,
if
there
we
could be
bring
some,
shows in for kids, could be a part of this kids program. And maybe we just sponsor it. We pay for it and we allow the kids to come. I know it costs us money, but it costs us money no matter what we do.
well, right,
Well, it didn't cost us money to have Cuckoo
No,
Kangaroo
but
here,
that was a
but,
profit for him.
right, but if there are other, if there are other children's organization type shows that might be looking for something, a place, that would be a coordinated effort to bring those people in. They gain their profit from the production, but we gain the idea that we are presenting things to the kids and bringing the children and parents in.
And this would bring us to par with our mission statement
sure,
until it's tweaked more. So just a
Right.
thought pattern.
yeah, and probably we should look at, you know, a copy, if you have a copy of the mission statement, that would be helpful.
I can get it to you.
Thank you.
Should have it.
Yeah, I should have a copy too.
Okay, sorry.
That's good.
Good
Is the
there.
mission
Yeah.
statement on the website?
Well-
It was at one time, but I don't know if it's out there.
Actually, yeah, I think the last
Maybe
time I
it's on
checked
there?
a few weeks ago.
Just check it.
The board members too are.
That needs to be updated.
And I don't know who, you know. But I think the mission statement should be on the website too.
Thank
Just
you.
for-
Absolutely, I wouldn't.
Yeah, if it isn't, I have to
Yeah.
check.
We need to update the board stuff and all that stuff.
Yes.
Hey, Ken, what do you got, a full-time?
We also need to update
Right.
signature cards, by the way.
But but do you have it or?
I have to stop at the bank.
Since I don't have a job, I could stop. Just putting that out there.
Go.
Well, there you go.
I'll
Put her
it on
down,
my
put her
notes.
on your thing.
Thank you. Okay, and then a newsletter.
Newsletter, we are, gathering kind of a smaller newsletter.
Which bank is it?
We're just kind of organizing, because Ken would like to see one coming up closer to the March show. So, we're gathering, the buy tickets, and this is what this one's about. Audition for this show, because this is what this one's about. And so, I have my interview almost done. I've got yet to hear from Sherry Heine, as far as comment, and the next one then will go out in March. It'll be on Sandy Karnak. So 3 hours later, I left her house, just so you guys know. But
She doesn't like to talk to me.
not a thing, and neither do I. So it's just like a fest, But she would like some visitors. She's pretty stuck in the house, but anyway, but it's been fun to gather some comments from, people who worked with her way back, and so on. And then I got her roast from her retirement. So we now have Sandyisms included,
Okay.
and I think I found myself saying a lot of them.
We may have material for several newsletters here.
Oh, well, maybe.
All right, so that's in progress.
Yeah, so both of those are in progress. We got 2, February's and March.
Perfect. All right, fundraising, promotions.
Yeah, just like,
No, right now.
right? Drawing me out there. Okay, yes. I will bring this next meeting, and I'll bring them cut in lots of copies for everybody. I just didn't want to hand them out over a month early so that they were forgotten about, so it's closer. So this is the Taco John's fundraiser that's going to be after the next play, the murder mystery. So that's March 21st, Thursday. It's from 5 to 7. The people have to show, they have to at least mention the theater. They have to mention something. They can say fundraiser, they can say theater, something, or they can bring this in. Either one, they have to mention it. So that's Thursday, March 21st. Now
We don't have to bust tables, do we?
no, they said.
That was close to terrible.
Yes.
But we will, like we did last time, and we will include the slip in the
In each
program.
program. Yeah,
That's good.
that was helpful.
The interesting thing is that a lot more of the programs go home with people when they have something on the back of the program.
Sure,
Like
that's a good idea.
New Mexico, which we will be doing again for this upcoming show.
You don't happen to have the contacts of everyone that came to Kangaroo, do you?
And we have no names, no names whatsoever.
Because that would be good to share that out with those,
Well,
show your appreciation.
Right.
But-
Yeah, and it's only from 5 to 7, so it's a short window of time, but it's 50% of their meals, so
Oh, wow.
as long as they mention it. So it's pretty good, so hopefully that
Which
gets out
Taco
good.
John's is it?
It's the north one. Yeah. And North Broadway, yeah.
Yeah.
So then after Ashley's show, on May 14th, from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., we have a fundraiser at the Starving Rooster, and that's 25% of the sales. But they have to show the flyer, whether it's on their phone or the actual flyer. So like on this one, I said mention it. That one I'll say show your.
So we definitely need to make sure that that's attached to the program.
Yeah.
you
And
said
maybe even
what
mention.
was the timing of that?
That one's from 5 to 10. At the
Oh.
Starving Rooster, it's 5 to 10.
So include drinks?
He said sales, so
Huh.
I don't know. I took it as that. I asked him if we needed anybody there working. He said no, but we could have somebody there handing out
Flyers.
Like promotional materials.
They can be out in the front.
Just shove it in their pocket.
Just kind of move down from the sight line.
Like promotional materials, but besides postcards, which I don't know if we'll have them by the end of that show, by the end of her show.
Well,
for the
if we get a season in
Present it.
place, we have all the stuff lined up to be able to get a season poster done right away and.
So either that, or I mean, that's the only thing I could think of for promotional materials. It's not
Yeah,
like we have pens
we
or
could
anything.
just, no, we could do the handout, we could do cards this time instead of the,
Yeah.
whatever, we'll figure something.
Sure. So we can
Because
have
we need to have it ready
there.
for a MagicCon anyway.
There we go. So that is again
Is that?
May 14th is the starting rooster. So
Okay.
should I write that down? Yep. See all that.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you. All right, now to the big one, season. And Ken, I just put your stuff under the season.
Okay.
So take it away.
All right, first thing's the calendar. And what we came up with September 13th to 15th and 20th or 22nd. The rationale there was to get it done before Host Fest. Doesn't work to compete with Host Fest, and if we put it after Host Fest, it gets much too late. So that's the rationale there. The second show, November 22nd, 24th, and the 29th, 30th, and December 1st, because Thanksgiving is very late this year. It's on the 28th. This would put the opening weekend the week before Thanksgiving and the closing weekend of Thanksgiving weekend, which always seems to be really good for us. So that's the rationale there. January 17th and 19th and 24th to 26th. That was just basically pushing it back to get enough interval between shows to get set construction and
away from the holiday.
and get away from the holidays. Same thing with the March 13th to 15th and the 20th to 22nd. This is basically the same calendar. Very close to what we've got now.
How does the March one jive with, Mr. Brady?
Well, it's probably right in there. It looks to me like it's the first weekend. But, you know, that's so often that
We
doesn't.
can't do
That
much
isn't a
about it.
problem.
No.
Okay.
And the final slot is May 8th to 10th and 15th to 17th, and I think the idea was to get it prior to
Memorial
Memorial Day weekend. So we're not rubbing up against Memorial Day weekend.
And when does MSU start summer theater?
Well, that's
March
second
June.
week in June.
The first
June.
show is usually right in June. They
That's
they start working usually Memorial Day Monday.
Because some of our actors obviously
Sometimes, yeah.
go across.
So,
So you wanted to.
Right.
do
And
December,
should we vote on this part
let's vote on
first?
the calendar first if we can.
But now, did you want to talk about the proposal for the period?
Okay. There is a time, I'm,
You're gonna
let's
add-
hold on with that, hold off on that for a second.
Oh, leave that separate.
Okay,
So all those in favor of, first of all, any discussion about what Kim has proposed, date-wise? So do we have a motion?
I'll second.
Second. God, I do not know how to talk today. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Okay, so we take the season as proposed.
No, just the dates.
Okay,
That-
the dates,
Yeah, so
the dates.
don't write that.
Okay. The second item on is the shows.
Now the show.
Now, we may
Okay,
have some issues here. We do have an issue here.
we do.
What we had originally proposed was September would be Blithe Spirit.
Oh, I thought you were doing that May period.
Well-
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Swing back to
Yeah,
that.
Let's
do
let's
that.
roll back to that here. Let's go through the rest of it first. November, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. January, In-Laws, Outlaws, and Other People Who Should Be Shot.
We We need something on January.
March on this proposal was, we proposed bus stop. Unfortunately, bus stop is not available for amateur theater
We don't know
this
about
time.
the bus stop, I just put that in there
Oh,
and went with
So
what
it's only available for
suggested for
professional
putting the
groups.
historical drama in.
And to close with the musical.
So do y'all have a backup for March?
Well,
Well,
different
that's
proposal.
what was here.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what you
Yeah.
said.
But
Because in the email, we had talked about doing, moving the Blithe Spirit to March and then opening with the historical drama. Some place in France, there's a lily.
here's the thing with that, and I don't know where Ken sits on it, because he was thinking he'd like to direct it. But there's too many people. I realize we did do that Prairie Heart one that time, but I think Carlin and Connie must have dragged everybody who could actually carry a tune in, in the fall. I really think that's a March show, not this year, but
Which show is March?
well, right now, Blythe Spirit, which is fine, but I just think, and I threw it out because each one of these has kind of a whodunit, kind of a theme. We have on our list, I don't know, Lynn, if you got the list around, but we have a couple of whodunits that might work as a comedy whodunit in the beginning. I know it's not a historical drama, but
The original discussion was to try and fit a drama into
I
this,
know,
into
I
this
know.
year. That was the whole thing there.
right. But if it doesn't necessarily work, I just think this one needs a little time, and not starting in July, or whatever. It's up to you, but I mean, that's for what it's worth.
So it sounds like we still need to work on this. So can we possibly have the season committee take one pass at it and then put it in front of us via email, and we can just vote email so we can get it done? Because so we need to have.
Well,
this
4 out of
done.
5
I would-
We need to get more of the committee together. The last time, we only had 4 people of the committee talking. And there were other people who would have liked to have been there, but they couldn't for various reasons. And people who should have some input. I mean, we have a committee that has how many people? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 people, and 4 made these decisions. So we put down what we hoped would be a good one, but if we're still questioning it, then we need to go back and make sure we pick a time when more people can be there.
Want to do this one?
Well, the only reason I say it is because it sounds like we have
I
2,
should.
maybe 3 questions
I'm
open.
not sure about the time slot.
So we don't really
No.
We do want to do the show.
Yeah,
unless you
yeah,
just
yeah.
Necessarily.
Go with what we have.
It doesn't have to be
Change
next
it.
year.
Do we want a motion to maybe approve at least 3 of these shows, the ones that are already, that looks like, it sounds like they're already set, kind of decided on by the committee? And maybe come back to September and March?
But then we're basically tearing the season apart. It'd be nice if we could just vote on its own.
Could we table it?
How
till-
long do we need to table, or how long can we table this before we come into a crunch? Can it wait another month?
No.
So that's
Probably
the
not.
problem. Because we need to get stuff printed, we have promotional stuff.
Yeah, there's a ton of things that have to happen once we get it show space.
I don't
Can
have a
it-
clue, so you guys gotta.
Do we think maybe we could put off 2 weeks? And maybe decide by email to approve it? Have the board,
Yeah, I mean, it's your show.
I mean, unless you wanna move it, Ken, but then if we move, so you're saying move Blythe down
To March
and then we just need to come up with something
with
for
something for
September.
September.
Do
Well,
we
if
have a
That's
backup?
not the one.
But if you want to do Lily in March, then move Blythe back to September. You're gonna need 14 women.
But you can't
That's-
guarantee that you're gonna get 14 women, regardless
When
of
it's
where
in
it's
September or if it's in March.
I know, but you're highly more likely to get them in March.
I don't
Not
think
necessarily,
so.
we had
Not
three
if it's
people
full.
audition for
Women?
Fox in the Fairway, and they had, you guys had just enough for your show, right? And that was
Mhm.
5 women?
10. Oh, five
Five women?
women.
I mean,
Yeah.
if that's all they had, like,
Well, some of these are young though, you know, you always get some of those that are younger to come out if there's parts for them.
sometimes
Not
they don't
really.
know about them. Like literally, we had 6 people audition for Fox on the Fairway, and that's what we needed. 7, kind of, because we wrote somebody who wasn't really there auditioning.
And even in this case,
Yeah.
we needed 10 people. We got
Mhm.
10 people. Actually, we got 11, but one had to bow out because of new work. So we are not getting mobs coming to auditions regardless of when they are.
Bad if anybody gets sick or anything else.
Well, if
Chris,
they
we
throw
did
up on
have-
the back.
And if we have a more popular show, I'm assuming that the more people come out audition, if it's a show they're familiar with.
Right, that's true. That's
We
true.
did.
Yes,
11
and I
people,
think even
total
beyond that
auditions
is
for
also,
churches and ladies.
Well, we did,
who's
yeah.
directing. If
So
they know
it
who
can be
the
done.
director is, they have a tendency to come.
I mean, I think what the season committee's done is.
Now I have to
so
sing 2
far, I
songs.
just don't know how to move forward unless we either meet again,
You know,
the season
Well,
committee.
what are the
meets
pros of
kind of.
Ken's show? What is it called again?
It's called Somewhere in France
Yeah.
is a Lily.
So what are the pros? Like pitch, make the
The
sales.
basic, it's a historical drama. And it's set in World War II.
One.
Or World War One, sorry, in France primarily. Lily is a recent high school graduate who decides to enlist in the army as a nurse and goes to France and serves in France as a nurse. And it revolves around actual letters. These were real people. And Lily was a real person, and the letters she wrote home formed the basis for this play. I guarantee you we'll make the audience cry. There's
How
some light moments in it.
how is the show presented? If it was gonna be staged, how would you stage it, I guess is the question.
Stage is basically divided in 3 sections, and it's a very, very simple set. Can be done probably with, it actually probably doesn't need much more than black curtains and set pieces. There's 14 scenes, so there's a lot of scene changes.
Is it vignettes then? Is it done as vignettes? Are they
Yes.
reading letters or?
None of it's, well, there's some reading letters, yes, but not very much of it. It's active.
So what's
So
the,
it sounds-
what's the conflict around?
Right, are you not wanting it in that time slot, or what's going on there?
Say, because this
I would be-
proposal looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I like
I think,
If you wanna do it in there, you
Unless
know,
you're saying you may not want to do it in September. So it's
Well,
up
do
to
you want, would you
I-
rather do it in March, a little later?
I'm fine with doing it in September. I think we could
And
properly,
if we
If
start,
it is
Properly
properly promoted, I think
Mhm.
you could get people.
I think we
Okay.
could.
I mean, unless, if it's that big a deal, just switch them around. And use this current proposal.
Yeah,
that she has.
But I think Brittany may, I don't want to speak for her, but may or
I
may
know.
not wanted to
She
do the
had
March.
expressed interest in Blithe Spirit, but of course we have a wedding in
Right.
September.
Oh, I
Is that why
see.
she had mentioned switching?
Yes.
I think Blythe Spirit would do great in March.
Mhm.
I mean, like you say, it's cold, we wanna laugh,
Mhm.
we want sun to come
yeah,
out, we want ghosts, you know,
Yeah.
so Blythe
Well,
Spirit,
something
I mean,
lighter,
you know,
yeah.
personally, I think, the drama,
yeah.
it's
I-
kind of ghosts, you know.
People, yes.
People love the historical dramas.
So,
People really like those.
You do
If
it,
you're gonna make the audience cry, make it happen in September.
right, and then let them laugh,
And then
you know,
they'll
for the
let 'em
rest,
laugh,
and
yeah.
have that theme going of the.
Plus, it's
whodunit.
historical and you've got that coincided with going back to school for a lot of people.
Has anybody else read the script? I mailed it around.
I haven't
not
yet,
had the
it's on,
so then the only
Figured
thing
it
that's
better read my
stopping us
own
from doing
first.
to vote on this current proposal is having somebody to direct Blithe Spirit. Is that what I'm hearing? That Brittany
Which
wants to do
there
it.
may be, options for that.
So that's the only, am I correct in that? Is that, so that we could literally vote on this then? If Ken's okay, we just have a director problem.
What's not a
We have
problem?
people who are available, we just haven't approached everybody.
But Brittany wanted to do that.
She wants to be involved. Whether or not she
She
wants
doesn't
to direct, I'm not sure.
I just want to make sure everybody's happy. So why don't we say, let's vote on this current one, and if we have to tweak it, so be it, but this looks like a pretty decent lineup. Yes, no?
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to push it if somebody wants to
No,
go back to the drawing board
I will say I really do want to do this show.
in September.
I believe it's a really good show.
You know, our,
And
I've
to
done
be
crazy-
honest, if you believe in the show and you feel that strongly about it, it really wouldn't matter where it's positioned.
And you're right, you're right.
You know, when I wanted to do arsenic, I could have done arsenic in the middle of Christmas because that's what I wanted. I wanted to do arsenic. So it really is with the person who's presented it. You know,
I like the fall slot for a lot of reasons.
you do have a lot of prep time
You have a lot
and
of prep
available time.
And unlikely to get frigid weather.
Well, that's true too.
Could be a.
No, I think properly promoted, it would be a really good show.
so to put it out there then, does anybody want to do a motion to carry what we have on this proposal?
I would second it.
So I think we've done enough discussion, unless there's any more discussions. Anybody? So we have motion seconded. All those in favor of this proposal, I guess that came out from Ashley, right? Because you sent the email.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposes? Didn't hear too bad.
I do have one other thing I want to bring up, and that is an alternative proposal for the May slot. I'm not changing the show, but from everything I've heard, that show should sell a lot of tickets. On the other hand, it is a very, it is like musicals, very expensive to put on. To do 6 performances will cost us $2,900 for rights, royalties, scripts, so on, for music and all that. We can add 2 more shows for $200.
Do it.
So about $3,100, and we can do 8 performances. Your sunk costs
For
go
just-
into the first 6
Yeah.
I
days.
think that's a no-brainer too,
Mhm.
because that's gonna be our big show, I think.
And
No pressure.
plus, when you get to that point where it's only with $200, all of your other free costs are just like the way I've watched Brittany writing things down. It's
Okay.
like,
So we have a motion, we have a seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays, opposes? Okay.
Um,
So we're adding 2 more shows.
I second it. I thought Ken
I
motioned.
moved
You
to-
motioned
I
it.
made the vote.
To add 2 more shows to May. And then by then we'll have the downstairs locked so you can't get down there. All right,
We'll
so,
actually go
I could not
downstairs.
take off early, I have some questions about that show.
Okay,
so Grant,
Which one?
finally.
okay, okay, so I sent out a copy of this. The North Dakota Council on the Arts has 4 different grant competitions that we can consider. And I need to leave the meeting tonight with an idea of, do you want to go for any of them? If so, which ones? You only get one, so if you're funded for one, that's the one you get for that year. There's some slight differences between them, but the thing to pay attention to and what I sent you is the match. So, special projects are for generally special projects. So if you wanted to bring in a children's show, then there were costs to that. That kind of thing, or if you just wanted to maybe you wanted to do something related to performance for arts in the park, but that you had costs, I'm not saying you have to do any of those things, but I'm saying you have to have a special project in mind. You have to tell me what it is and give me just a ballpark cost for that. So if you look at the match for that one, the theater can only ask for $1,250, and then they have to put in that much. It's a 50% one-on-one match. But of that match, 50% of it can be in kind. So that's something to keep in mind. So if there's a special project that the board has talked about in the past or tonight that you have in mind, that's the way you want to go, then that's one option. The second option is institutional support. Now that one is you get that same amount every year for 3 years.
So before you go on, I have a quick question.
Mhm.
Do I read this, these two boxes go together, these two boxes
do.
go together?
They
Okay.
do. And I apologize in advance for thinking in boxes. I've been accused of that. So the institutional support one is, again, the match is 50%. They're only going to give you 50% toward whatever you apply for. You have to ask for a minimum on those of $3,000, and your maximum is $10,000. They used to be more, they're not anymore. So what that means is that the theater, concert of players, puts in $10,000. You can ask for $10,000 toward it, $20,000, whatever you want to do. If you look at most of these, though, the general things that they fund are generally operating expenses that can include salaries, that could include heat and lights and any of those kinds of things. They're not funding equipment or technology. I know we just got a new soundboard, and we'd love to, I can write a different grant somewhere else for money for that, but that's not what they want to fund. Having said that, if you bring in the extra money through an institutional grant, then that frees up dollars. We can look at what we would have spent anyway on operating expenses and say, well, we have the money through our production or whatever to spend this amount of money anyway. We were going to do that. So we're actually bringing in a match for that at that same amount again. That's the way to think of an institutional support grant. You do have to have 4 dates, not a problem for us. Part-time paid staff, ta-da! Not a problem for us. One thing that would be a problem with that is you do have to have a strategic plan. That means goals and objectives for a 3 to 5 year period. And so that might be a little hard for this group to do by the deadline.
By March 15th, right?
Yeah. So the third option is the Community Arts Access Tier 2. That's for communities over 6,000. Will be us. Again, the max is 3,000, so it's a little bigger than a special project. They don't guarantee you that they'll give you the 3,000, and so that has to be 50% of the total project cost. So if your total project cost is $4,000, then they're only going to give you 2. That's kind of how that works. And so this can be used for more things, like if you wanted to bring in a specialist to work with your directors, let's say, to enhance the quality of what you do. Or you wanted to bring in a consultant to enhance your outreach to the nearby rural communities and work on those kinds of things. Those are examples of the kinds of things. So, because it's community art access. They're not going to fund a special piece of equipment, but they're going to fund.
A question about this one. Now, say encourage existing arts organizations. Would inviting local artists here to perform count as expanding.
Yeah.
So if we were to do maybe, let's say,
Because that expands
an
the
open
overall
night, month
quality.
night or something like that, or something where we invite local artists to come and perform whatever art they do, whether it's singing, dancing, whatever it is. That people can come and see maybe
Right,
as
to
a
expand your
possibility.
audience and enhance the quality of what Mouse River players are.
Okay.
Okay,
What about like Missoula, children's,
I was gonna thinking about them too.
something like that might fit under here, right?
We did a Friday camp type of thing.
Right.
Put on a performance that would.
That would.
yep, you could make that your thing. And then the last one is for professional development. So they would be like, and again, that's a smaller amount. It's like $1,000. If we wanted to send Lynn off to a conference in Hawaii, that wouldn't quite pay for it, but.
Send to Bismarck.
Yeah. So if you want to bring in a consultant to work with your board on a strategic plan, for example, which $1,000 probably isn't enough. So, but attending a workshop, it would be transportation for a couple of people to go to Fargo for a workshop on the theater arts. You're gonna bring something back to MRP and that kind of thing. So those are the 4 categories. So I need 2 things from the board. I need you to prioritize if you want me to go after any of these. And then if you know which one, you're well, this is our first priority, this is our second priority kind of thing. Then I need to know what the project is or what the focus is. I can write some generic draft stuff up, and then I need people in a timely manner to get back to me on that. And things like, oh, that looks nice, is not really helpful. Meters, what were you thinking? But specific feedback.
Would be nicer than that.
Cross out an objective, change the wording, put something down, that you think about it, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, I just have a thought is that I think we should do the community arts. Because number 1, it's April 1 instead of 15th of March. But other than, we could then look for like a Missoula children's.
We call it Mine Not Children's Theater.
Well, we could actually take a look at, they have been through before.
Yeah, we could see how much, then we wouldn't have to charge quite as much, at the door type of thing. I know when we did it, it cost a lot of money. We always lost money on it, but we were doing it for the kids, so we were okay with that. But if we got the grant, then it
So
would
you're
cover it
thinking of
more
running
so.
a 1-week children's camp? That's your,
Well, maybe,
That's an
yeah,
idea.
that's an idea.
okay.
That's just a thought.
Would they sponsor or, I keep saying sponsor, like what if we had that show we were talking about and it cost us $2,000 to put on? Is that something? we
Which
could-
show are we referring to? The one
Just
he's
in-
talking about?
Like Cuckoo Kangaroo, for instance,
Oh.
say we wanted to put that show on, we paid for it
Yeah, but
to
that's,
give to the community, could we grant that somehow?
Yeah, and you would have to
That's
fork
what I
up
could
money
pay
up
for a
front,
show.
and then they would match it with this grant.
So there's a quick way out of that, is what I'm saying.
right, because there's gotta be like, years ago, they had like Raffy and children's, performers, kind of thing. That's a possibility.
Because I was just looking up strategic plans like for local theaters around us,
Oh,
and we're
dear.
talking 18 to 45 pages. It's like,
Yeah,
there's
we're
no-
not
Let's not doing that today.
What we
So-
can do as a board is say, okay, we're not gonna be ready with a strategic plan, but what we can do is start planning
for next
for
year.
that,
next year.
so that we have one in place for next year.
We could do that.
So that might be priority 2, whereas priority 1, you're kind of looking at this community arts access.
And the special projects thing, it's hard enough for us to get volunteers, much less money out of them. It's just, I think the community arts is our better choice too.
I think so.
If we can put it to something like maybe a show or
Well, I
package
can't-
a kids
We
program
have to
together.
think this through, because I can't write a grant about what we might do. We might do this or we might do that. we have to decide. We want to put together for this time
Can
period
several
a
people
children's
get
show.
with Kathy and sit down and
I can pull up my
brainstorm.
laptop and
Or could we challenge some board members to bring ideas for us to kind of talk about, decide on, so to kind of figure out maybe what we want to put in the grant proposal?
Well, I could, if bringing Missoula Children's Theater here would be a thought, I would be willing to call them tomorrow, get a price, see when they could next year, because soon, but can it be for next year, or does it have to be this before, like,
What could be
Um,
2020?
it could be 2019?
I believe it can be 2019, but
We're already in 19, you mean 20?
Yeah. Let me confirm that. While you look into
I'll
those
call and
costs,
get a
I'll
price
confirm.
and see when they could.
When you're
Also,
awarded on this one
don't
depends
forget that
on
we
when your
do
event
have
is.
the building available in the summer.
The building. Is that what you
The
said?
building is
Summer.
available in the
Okay.
summer.
Yeah.
There's
So they
nothing
could-
going on in the
And
summer.
there is air
so-
conditioning.
Yeah, I'll call and see when they're.
So you're
available.
thinking 20?
No, I was thinking like, could it be the rest of this year, anytime
Yeah,
this year?
yeah.
Well,
I
But
think so.
probably it could be next year too, if I'm not,
Yeah, so as you get the specifics,
Sure.
you
I will.
think about, is it 2019 this summer or 2020, and then we'll
I would
figure out what we're doing.
Depends on when they have because I don't know when they award their grants, usually not until, it takes a while.
Depends on the grant. I didn't put that, if you go to the website, which was in the email, it will show you.
It
I
says
didn't try to
application,
put
well, on the institutional support, it says taking place for the upcoming triennium that begins July 1st.
Right.
So that might be applicable for all the sections.
It's on the website, there's a lot more information there, and I was trying to summarize, so I didn't have to put that back
Because they're
out.
doing July, it sounds like they're running like a business calendar, so they're doing 1920.
Yeah, that's
what it
my
sounds
guess.
like to me.
Well, it seemed like that's what I remembered from when I wrote a grant, for
Especially
my
being
classroom.
from the Arts Council, because most theaters go on that
Yeah,
business calendar year,
Yeah.
so.
So, just tell me how this Missoula Theater bringing it in or holding our own camp, if that doesn't work out, whichever, how does that enhance the artistic quality of our programming and expand our audience? I've got to be able to say.
well, it covers, our children's mission, which is to provide theater opportunities for, children in our region. Something like that.
Also reaches out to those children who may or may not be able to afford.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
The
like.
classes.
Well, afford, yeah. Well, you
Paid
get the idea.
classes.
Yeah,
The big
Yeah.
classes. And promote knowledge and appreciation of the arts in our
Yeah.
communities. How does it do that?
the
Well,
what?
you're teaching children to appreciate appreciate live theater.
Well, right, and build teamwork,
Yeah.
camaraderie amongst each other,
Creativity.
creativity.
Would having the Missoula Theater come in, would that do something for all of you who are directors, actors? Would you gain anything from that in addition to the kids gaining?
I would bring my grandchildren.
No, I mean
Not really.
professional.
It's not really,
Okay.
because they have their whole set as kind of a closed situation.
Right.
They do everything with and for the children. Brittany went to Missoula one year for the classes, so she
Right.
learned all about what they do. And they come in, they have their own costumes, they have their own set pieces, they have their own script that they do, and they enlist the kids in the area, and then they put on a show after 2 or 3 days worth of working with them and helping to.
So we could also I mean, if that's something we could say, like, if we sat in and watched and learned how to put on something like that ourselves, like.
Not that you don't know stuff already.
Right,
Yeah,
like,
no, but that's all right.
You're trying
If
to
that
sell
helps
it,
to
so,
sell
yeah.
the idea of
Gotta
that.
just work it.
Okay.
And it's also a benefit of just seeing how another theater company runs their productions and their way of doing things, just to see how it compares to your own way of doing things. I mean, that's what we do from like a director standpoint.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
If we did this, would there be any kind of outreach to surrounding communities, or how would we do that?
If it was done during the summer, we certainly could outreach, because then people would have the capability of traveling in to participate. During the winter, it'd be a little bit hard to do that.
Right, okay. I'm usually available any nights except Sunday evening and Tuesdays. So if we want to follow up on the idea, if there's a small group of people that want to help work on this,
I can do this.
okay.
So do we need to vote on what we're doing, or let's just say we're doing
I just need to,
community
I just need to feel like the board has said, yes, go in this direction, here's the one you want to do. A couple of us who are interested will work with you. I don't know if you want to
I
have a
think
formal vote on it.
I'm hearing the interest, the people who are expressing the most conversation are interested in the community arts access
Yeah,
tier
that's
too.
what I heard
So I'd say that's the one to
to
take.
go with.
For now.
Yeah,
For
I
now.
mean,
Because
in the
that's not to
future,
say we can't apply for the institutional support grant another time,
right.
when we're better
So
prepared.
I guess I motion that we attempt to go for the community arts access tier 2 grant.
I second that.
All those in favor?
I,
No opposings? We are, keep going.
Okay, what's the best way to get that small group together? You,
well, you're, is that what, 6:30?
Yeah, so.
Well, like, do practice and weekend.
But
Maybe a
this-
Sunday afternoon.
So we,
Sunday afternoon is fine, just not in the evening from 6 on, because we have chamber chorale. But afternoon is fine.
so
Do we have
we have
anything
to,
this Sunday?
we have to get moving because we have some people that need to leave.
Okay, following Sunday?
Sure. Just
Not this
Sunday.
Sunday, but the following Sunday. So it's Holly and
Better.
Heather. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Ashley. I'll get the app downloaded and we'll be good. Thank you, I'm done now.
Thank you. All right,
Oh, what time on Sunday afternoon? 1?
Oh, my husband must be watching. He said it would be good for public speaking for kids, like teach them about, sorry. I
Oh,
just
good.
happened to check
Thanks, Mandy.
community involvement.
Are
job,
you
Wendy.
recording this? Or you have your phone?
No, it's right there.
Oh,
good job using that technology.
wow.
Make
Kathy,
your wife
if
go
you
out this
send
weather.
just the invitation.
He
Do
dropped
you
me
want
off,
to
I
bring
gotta
up
take
the Elks thing? Or did
White
you do that
Rose in
last time?
winter,
So
2007.
we've got to get moving because we got some people.
Oh, I just gave that.
Yeah, but if
So
it's-
tenant buildings, is there,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything going on there.
you wanna,
Membership, when,
Insert it here.
Nothing new.
yeah,
okay. There's
And
nothing
that's
new.
in
Wait a
Gmail.
minute here, we just have one other thing that we want to slip in here under grants. The Elks gave us a grant for $500.
Oh.
And that also is, part of the, you know, for children's theater, so we use it as a sponsorship for the, Lion, Witch and the Wardrobe.
I say, is that, technically, that's not a grant, it's just a
It-
sponsorship, right?
Well,
Or is something
it was,
else?
I wrote it, you know, as, however, you know, we could get the money.
Okay.
You know, so basically it's for costumes and for, you know, any support things that we need for, which technically is a sponsorship of the show.
it could conceivably be part of the match.
Yes, it could be part of the match for,
For
you
the
know,
first,
if you want.
oh, you mean for the community arts match?
Well, and I'll have to work with Ken or whomever to talk about what's the amount that MRP is gonna put in and where are we drawing those funds from? Is that coming in savings? Is it coming out of our profits for the coming year? How do we, you know, where was that
I
money?
think Ken can write a check.
Yeah.
Out of his own pocket.
Yeah, wherever. You can just work it out.
What time
New
is the meeting on the
business.
24th?
Brittany,
Sorry.
1 or 2?
did we ever get,
One
Miss Brittany, are you back? You here?
Renee?
Okay, but
Well,
while
we did
she's,
talk about the purchase for the headsets. I know that
How
one.
would you all feel about working?
okay, yeah, that's, so that was.
And she put together a
matter.
proposal for a MagicCon as well.
I have tea here if you want. but if
So
you
while we're
prefer
waiting
your
for
house,
her-
We
that's
do
okay.
need to start
Well,
deciding
our
on
house
somebody
is
being in
nice and
charge of
quiet.
sponsorship.
Okay, I'll send you the.
I'm all right,
So you
I
We
just
gotta
don't
start
know.
in there.
But we've got to
Yeah, we
start
can
ramping it for next year.
Oh, no, I agree.
Address
I
is-
agree.
Listen here,
All right, Miss
it's not hard to
Brittany,
find.
we have you down for new business?
Address.
And
Oh,
and
yeah,
also
I
social
24th.
media.
Yeah,
Anything
24th.
Social
When I-
media.
Nothing new on social media.
So we already talked about the microphone stuff, we approved that.
Would approve double purchase.
And then you wanted to talk about MagicCon?
So MagicCon is coming up at the end of April. We've participated the past 2 years. The first year, the cost of the booth was covered by Magic City Hoagies, which was really nice. And then last year, we purchased our own space. I think it was very beneficial. We had a lot of FaceTime with people who've never even heard of mouse river pliers before, and got a lot of interest that way. So I think it really overall was worth the time and the effort to put into it. So I would like us to be involved again this year. It's the last weekend in April. An activity information booth is $75 for a single space. Last year we did
Spaces as wide as
it's
this table.
10 feet wide and 10 feet
It's not
deep.
very big.
Last year we did a double space so that we could have information on one side and then we made puppets on the other side, which was insanely popular, and went over really well. So I would recommend again doing a double booth space so that we can separate information on one side and then whatever activity demonstration we've got going on the other side. It's April 26th through 28th. I would be able to be there pretty much every day with the exception of the first 3 hours on Friday because I work and I can't leave work until 2 o'clock at the earliest. So the first 3 to 4 hours I would need somebody to cover, but those first 3 to 4 hours at the convention is absolutely good. So, because everybody else is also working or in school. So it would be a really low impact volunteer time for whoever was able to cover those hours. And then I would get there as soon as I was done with work to be able to cover. And basically at that point, there's so little foot traffic that the demonstrations and interactive portions of the booth wouldn't need to be running. It would just
And
be
you can come in
primarily
costume.
information giving at that point. So as long as you're well versed on who Mouse River Players is, our upcoming show and potentially the upcoming season, you'd be fine.
What day can you set up? Does that come back there?
The setup day is the day before on Thursday.
So what day was that?
Thursday the
Yeah.
25th of April. Yep. Start getting things set up. So I mean, it wouldn't be impossible to do that. And then the teardown starts at 6 on Sunday. They do have a policy in place this year that you can't. And I'm pulling down early because they had a lot of vendors conventions that you are going to require the vendors to be there, or activities to be there the entire time. Last year, after we had set up, they had reached out to see if anybody would be interested in performing on their stage to do some improv events or short skits or things like that, which would have been awesome. Unfortunately, it was so last minute that they were reaching out to us. There just was not time to get anything put together. So that would make able to be there for those demonstration times. And again, I wouldn't have any more information on that unless you're signed up and if they have the availability.
Where is it at?
The municipal auditorium.
So obviously you want us to make a decision whether we should do it. So do we have a motion to do it?
I move we go forward with it.
I think it's a
I
fantastic.
second.
And I can help that day if you need to.
Perfect.
So we have a motion.
Yeah.
Do we need any more discussions outside of that?
Just what were the times of the days?
So Saturday and Sunday, or Friday and Saturday run 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. for the vendors. If we want to be open longer, the convention goes until noon or midnight. So if we want to be open longer, we can get special permission from a Magicon to be open longer, but there's because after 8 p.m. is when they start doing kind of their more specific LARPing and gaming and stuff like that. So you don't have as much foot traffic. And then Sunday, we're required to be there 11 to 5, but we can't start tearing down until 6. So we would probably be there 11 to 6.
So we have motion, or all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Double booth.
Perfect.
Each 75.
Right, so it would be 150, and then it would be nice to be able to add like 2 more vendor passes. You get 3 for each section, so we would get 6 total. But that way you can have 2 on each side, and then you have 4 vendor passes to transition, which helped a lot last year. Having those extra passes was very helpful. And I'll set up a volunteer sheet so people can sign up for times to be able to volunteer and participate.
And I've got it on my calendar.
Would that be $180 total then?
Yeah, it would be about $180. And then anything that we would purchase for publicity items to hand out and any activity items.
Passes too.
But I'm not dressing up in a cow costume.
That's okay. You can come dressed up. You can come dressed normal. Totally true. All right.
Thank you. All right, there was no old business that I'm aware of, and the table items are still tabled.
I have one thing that I want to at least mention. We got an email from a distributor for a film called Neither Wolf Nor Dog. It's a road movie set in the Dakotas and adapted from the novel by Minnesota author Kent Nurburn. What they're looking for is places to stream the movie.
Yeah, I remembered seeing that one
So this just came in again today. So
again.
Again, yeah.
So we're still looking
They're
for,
still looking for spots.
our biggest thing is we just don't have a screen.
Well,
I mean, we can paint a big square on the back wall.
So we are working on
We
that.
voted on that, so.
When do they want to screen?
They don't have a specified date. They just want to be able to work on setting up one.
And the screen can be put up very quickly. I'm just waiting on Northwest Projector to come out here and do some measurements for us. So hopefully
guess,
this
yeah.
week or next.
It would be
My-
a
my-
really neat thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be really good.
The only thing I would like to know is, when they would want to do this, like, or at least a time frame.
So
Send them some.
has
Do you wanna
anybody
check on
reached
that?
out to them? Because then I can reach out or Dan, did you want to? Is there-
If you have the time, I would more than be happy to have you take some reins on it. The only thing that I had said to him was that it would be very interesting and we'd really love it, but we don't have a screen at the moment. That's when,
But we can-
before we had, that was before any discussion about that, so.
I'll reach out to him. And I am waiting on Northwest Projector. So,
I'd love to be involved in that.
yeah, I literally he just got back to me. So. Okay, any other old business before we adjourn?
Membership or?
She
No,
said
nothing
there was
new.
nothing. Okay, the next meeting we have for the March 11th, which is our next, I just question mark is,
Which is going to be halfway through around,
yeah, it'll be between the shows.
which is fine.
Okay,
There shouldn't be any rehearsal or anything like that.
all right, then meeting is adjourned. Do you usually pay these people? Ken?
I think we did, yeah.
Well, this is our sticker for the
Yeah, we
boards.
did.